Good morning, everybody, and happy Easter. Welcome on this Easter Sunday, which is also Cesar Chavez's birthday and the Trans Day of Visibility. So we hold up everybody who is struggling and supporting others and ourselves and living lives of beauty and dignity and protected and allowed to live and flourish as we all should. So we hold up that spirit perfect for this particular Sunday morning. And I want to welcome everybody. I want to welcome our live stream folks. Some of you are sick and at home, and some of you are very far away but part of this community. Can we all just, let's see, Jonathan, which camera is on right now? Ooh, Shuli, which camera is on? Let's all upstairs. Let's all just turn and wave so they can see us in all our bonnets and finery and let you all know that we are with you as you are with us. And we're so excited to be part of this larger community beyond these four walls. Also, I know Asani Sewell, where are you? Asani is one of our distant members. She lives in Portland, but we have her here today. So please, while you get a chance, go say hi, because it's always great to have our out-of-towners in town. Welcome. Today, our kids are going to go out for an Easter egg hunt at the doxology instead of class. And after service, we won't have our normal social hour because Tenderloin Tessie, as they do every year, is using our space with our blessing and joy to serve a meal to our neighbors. And so we make that, sacrifice of the space we love for a much greater good and joy. And I hope some of you will consider volunteering with them in the past. They do the meal here on Easter, on Christmas Day, and on Thanksgiving Day, and sometimes feed up to 800 people. So it's a big production, and there's entertainment. There's a drag show that is led by a drag star who in the past has been named Vanessa, but it's not me. I wish I had those talents. I do not possess those talents, and there's other services and clothes, so it's really a wonderful thing that we have under our roof. And so you'll go out into your Easter day without a cup of coffee, but we hope you have a blessed afternoon and day. I want to thank everyone who's making today's service possible, Reverend Laura, my colleague, with her chapeau, and Dennis with his chapeau, and Oreo is up here too, joining us for a while, to Reiko and Mark and our choirs, both of them today, and our soloist, Nancy. Yeah, howdy, Mark, good to see you, yeah. And to all of you, to Shuli and Jonathan, who are bringing our live stream home, and Linda, who is our head usher, and everybody who is pitched in RE to make the incredible Easter egg hunt possible, which I know we would all like to be part of. But I will have candy to hand the adults after service. So welcome everyone to this hour that's carved out to go deep, to take a breath, to search for and find inspiration, to reground for all this and so much more. Welcome to worship.
Now is the time in our service where we light our chalice. For those of you that are home, if you have a chalice nearby, please feel free to light it with us. Please join me in our chalice lighting words in your order of service. We light this chalice for the light of truth, the warmth of love, and the fire of commitment. We light this symbol of our faith as we gather together. Please rise in body or spirit to sing our opening hymn, number 269, sung to the hymn of 268. Okay?
My name is Linda Enger, and I'm a member of our Board of Trustees. I've been a member of this church for over 50 years, so if you have questions, I should be able to answer them. You are welcome to contact me or any other board member with questions or concerns. We meet in the fireside room on the third Tuesday of the month, and you are welcome to attend the meeting if you're so inclined. If this is your first time joining us in person or watching on live stream, thanks for joining us. If you would like to receive a copy of our weekly newsletter, our weekly email newsletter, which includes a link to the order of service and the Sunday live stream, you can fill out one of the yellow connection forms. Those forms are on the welcome table outside the sanctuary, perhaps in a pew in front of you, and it's available through a link in the order of service or video description of today's service. The order of service lists upcoming events and links to opportunities to connect. Please engage in any of them that are of interest to you. Today I have a word of caution for everybody. Just a reminder, there was another person pretending to be Vanessa, and it wasn't the drag queen, in an email this weekend. So this is a reminder, Vanessa will never ask you to buy gift cards or money orders. You can always phone her if you get an email and you're not sure about its validity. You can call her to check if that email is confusing. So just so you know, all church staff have emails that end with @uusf.org at the end. Any variation, even a slight variation, should arouse suspicion. We love your generosity and your warm-heartedness, but the thing you should do with those feelings is contribute to today's offering, which goes to support the minister's discretionary fund, which gives the ministers the ability to address needs that the email may make you sound are being addressed. If you had your photo taken or submitted a photo for our photo directory, the directories have been received. I will be out in the gallery after the service. Please stop by to pick up a directory if you had your photo taken or submitted one. If you did not do that and would like a copy of a photo directory, we have a soft copy, and give me your name and we can create a copy for you. But those of you who did take pictures, come by and pick up the photo directory. That's all I need to call your attention to today. Let's take a moment to greet one another. If you're joining on live stream, introduce yourself on the chat and share whether you participated in an Easter egg hunt today.
When I am down and oh, my soul is weary, when troubles come and my heart burdened be, then I am still and wait here in the silence till I will be. You raise me up so I can stand my hands. Up, guns for me. I am strong when I am on shoulders. You raise up to more they can be. I am the and all my soul is weary when on my heart burns, and I am still here in silence till you come and sit on my wheel. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to stormy seas. I am strong when I am your shore. Raise me up.
Nancy Bellquire. Thank you so much.
You know, we really don't think for sure. There are some mysteries. Henry David Thoreau, a writer and thinker, you die, and he time at a time. But even not knowing these are things that make stories they tell. A woman named Doris and wondered if death would be like happened to the dragon. Here's a version.
Down below the pond lived a water bug. They were a happy colony, far away. For many months, they were mud on the bottom of the. They'd once in a while, one of their lose interest, clinging to the stem of a tree and out of sight, and was seen no more.
The water bugs said to one another, "Naming the lily stalk, where do you think she's going? Up." It's even as they disappeared, waited. Return,
Said one water bug to another. Just a second. Where suppose she?
At an end, greatly puzzled, one of the water bugs colony gathered her friends. I have an idea. The next one of us climbs up the lily stalk, tell where he or she went, and
we
we
promise,
Said
one spring day, very did the plan, found himself up the lily, up. He had broke through the surface, fallen onto the above. Woke. What he saw. Change has come. His four silver rings and a long tail. Struggled, he felt an wings. The sun soon body. He moved his wings again, himself up above the water. He had become a dragonfly. Swooping and dipping in great curves, he flew through the air and felt exhilarated in the new atmosphere. By him, lighted happily. It was that he low to the bottom of the pond. Water bugs. There they were, scurrying around during some time before. The next climbs up the lily pad where he or she went and why. Darted down. Suddenly he could no longer go into dismay. At least I tried. Promise. Back, know me in my new body until they become dragonflies. What has happened to me, and went.
And here ends our story about the dragonfly. A story about more than just a dragon. In a season where we tell about eyes, we admit the possibility we are required to take one life at a time. And just a reminder, in the foyer to head over for a hearing in the mystery.
And now the word are just some that we make of this community. Love is the church, and it's prayer. This is our great to dwell in freedom.
So my husband, Chris, here during our story of finding a spiritual home that was in my Christian upbringing, a place where questioning is encouraged, and meaning for our, and where questions too. These remain reasons to support this community. And what I could in 20 could not even imagine was how central this to me, how staff and deepen our as chair from 2021 to 2020 engaged. We host, and I hope and as I participated in COVID, I saw the as decisions, and I was so grateful when the church in fall 2021 isolation young people and parents were in my son's was Mary Gans's answer was poetic, but more importantly, my children and my family manifested in the actions. We have loved moments of joy, moments and uncertainty. And our family gives to support that can create a loving space in a. I hope that you will join me in giving to support this community. Today, by midnight, will be entered in getaway. Jack and Mary, who are Edge Drive, will be on the pledge button. Thank you, and I appreciate the ways in which this community continues to show up for each other.
Klingelhoff of this congregation. Roman Catholic. In 1972, Dell, father's side is Jewish. Dell was music director for over 20 years for a large North Side temple show. His mother June showed me a printed sermon by Unitarian Reverend Ed Pera. I decided to attend a service. Thoughtful people and deep roots congregation. The San Francisco community joined. Happy to discover that when and fire destroyed in them to use our sanctuary for several months until they could rebuild. Hymnals, number 381. Please just play a little of it. This music and these words together express my feeling about being a Universalist. Unitarian Universalist, Reverend Samuel Anthony Wright, music by the great Jan Sibelius. The melody is simple, E flat. We would, as now we, the wonderful bass part accompanies contrary motion, for the heart. This part, the transition, is what is true. It's the transition. The composer, it's set. The who wrote the words, Samuel, and it is out of the key. It's you go back to E flat. What in us is true on our way. With love and justice, show to us a new. When the next time we sing it, voice, you can make a big sound in Sibelius. Support this congregation.
Your hymnal one more time and turn to the back and 628. Now, one of the problems with responsive readings is I say it very lively and I hear back from you, wah, 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 wah. Now, one of the problems with that And one of the jokes about Unitarian Universalists is they can't sing very well because they're trying to read the words ahead of themselves. So I'm going to give you a moment just to kind of look at the words, get yourself familiar with them. And I would like some little boisterousness around your responses when you read back to me what you're supposed to read, which is in the italics. So I'll give you a minute. I'm timing it. Okay, has everybody read pretty thoroughly? You get the idea? Okay. All right, so let's start this responsive reading. In the tomb of the soul, we carry secret yearnings, pains, frustrations, loneliness, fears, regrets, worries. In the tomb of the soul, we take refuge from the world and its heaviness. I didn't hear heaviness. Heaviness. In the tomb of the soul, we wrap ourselves in the security of darkness. Sometimes this is a comfort. Sometimes it's an escape. Sometimes it prepares us for experience. Sometimes it insulates us from life. Sometimes it's too light because it's time to feel the pain of the world and reach out to heal others. Sometimes it becomes us and locks us up with our own concerns. In this season, where light and dark balance the day, we seek balance for ourselves. Grateful for the darkness that has nourished us, we push away the stone and invite the light to awaken us to the possibilities within us and among us, possibilities for a new life in ourselves and in our world. Thank you. I invite you into a time of prayer. Settle into your seat. Take a deep breath in and out. Let us pray. Spirit of light and dark, God of life and death, we come to you knowing each of us carry in our hearts those places we have sealed and placed a stone across. We have hardened our hearts against the world, possibly against one another, and maybe against ourselves. Let us lean into those spaces. Help us to shine even the barest glimmer of light to pass through those stones. Help us to find compassion with the person struggling beside us. Guide us in healing ourselves and each other from the hate and pain of this world. Let us slow down and observe the beauty before us and among us. Spirit of love and beauty, we come to you knowing we have places in our heart full of love and beauty, wide open to the world. These are the spaces that reflect the love we have received and have given. These are the spaces that have observed and soaked up the beauty around us. Let us bolster ourselves in this love and beauty to push against those stones that remain sealed. We offer gratitude for the nourishment our souls receive in the healing spaces of our sealed tombs. May we unseal them with the love for ourselves and for each other. May we see the beauty amongst the hurt and pain. May we know we have the power to create the meaning of resurrection in our lives daily. Amen.
And now our morning offering, which will go to the Minister's Discretionary Fund. That's ministers with an S apostrophe, that Reverend Laura and I use to respond to needs that emerge in the community, from household bills to emergency trips home to home health aides and any number of community needs that arise. Thank you for helping us meet them in the past with grace and generosity, and thank you in advance for your generosity today. The morning offering will be given and gratefully received.
My life was a prison.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, choir. Oh, many of you know from sitting in the pews on Easter with me that I always feel caught on this Sunday by the fact that in the Unitarian Universalist tradition, we don't generally walk through the other pieces of the story of Holy Week. And without Good Friday in particular, that day which really wasn't good at all, Easter Sunday makes no sense. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, borrowing a phrase from Reverend Adam Clayton Powell Sr., whose pews Bonhoeffer used to sit in that Harlem church when Bonhoeffer wasn't teaching Sunday school there, Clayton Powell used to talk about cheap grace. It's a phrase he meant to capture a church that granted its people forgiving love, the love of God that forgave everything without requirements to confess what they had done wrong and work to repair the harm and commit to the life that it called them to. It's a second chance granted again and again with no invitation to feel the weight of the harm we've done. And so in some ways, the magnitude of the gift of forgiveness or second chances is lost to us. But also what it calls out of us, Bonhoeffer thought, the call to discipleship, he called it. Not merely spectatorship, but a moral engagement with participating in the redemption of the world. Good, I think, can be the same way. Most things can be. You forget what a gift it is to have in the world, the possibility of goodness all around you, if you don't remember some sense of how awful and despairing it feels in your bones to have its absence. It's why I think those who have fought in wars are often our most committed pacifists, or people at least working for peacemaking and committed to it. And those who forget send us off to sacrifice another generation of children. Good Friday, in the story told during Holy Week, in the Christian tradition, let me remind us, is this. It's of this godly man, Jesus, this man who we are told spoke liberating truths, challenged those in power to be compassionate, invited people to love their neighbor and even their enemies, everyone to be humble and introspective about their own failings, never to throw the first stone or any stone, got angry when the temple places of our lives, anything sacred was diminished or cheapened or turned into a place for profit, and tried to remind folks where real power comes from, the kind we should throw our lives into pursuing, that power that comes from a life that is grounded in the highest virtues of service and courageous witness on behalf of the most vulnerable, drawing a circle of love wider and wider in all the ways it invites us to stretch our spirits to do so. And so much else he talked about. And for his life and this set of crimes he committed, he is convicted, sent to a torturous ending by those in power so that the status quo could be maintained, so no hard work of moral and social change need happen. And on Good Friday, that day that speaks of no good at all, this man and others were nailed to crosses in the Middle Eastern sun after having been beaten and humiliated, and Jesus dies while forgiving those who hurt him with his last breaths. It's not a story for bunnies and bonnets. But Easter makes no sense without it, right at our shoulder. Some years it is particularly hard and strange to recount the story that precedes today's. Some years, evil has felt for me a little further away, a little subtler, a little more hidden than it has this year. There have been lots of Good Fridays through time, and this year I feel like has had more than its share. Days when the sky was rent, as it says in this story of Holy Week on Good Friday. They feel like familiar days. There have been plenty of them this year when we could imagine it would feel fitting for the skies to be torn and grow dark because of the news we read and hear again and again. And so we can understand, maybe this year especially, that on Friday and the Saturday to follow in the story, when the sun went into hiding, that the followers of Jesus believed evil had won, that it can feel that way, that people who believed that through his leadership, hope and truth and goodness would triumph were devastated. Another day when there is no ceasefire. Another day when despots continue their egotistical wars and journalists are arrested for telling the truth, and business makes products that disrupt the social fabric and the social emotional growth and well-being of our young people for coin. And nations invest more in armies than in disarming the mutually assured destruction of a planet boiling in its own juices, and spend more on reality TV than on homes for their unhoused neighbors. On these days, it doesn't take a lot of imagination to feel what these people in the story felt. And so this morning, this Easter morning in the story, we come with them to the tomb, to this place that holds the remains of someone and something they loved, to a dream, actually, not just a person in that tomb, but a dream. And in the story, we're supposed to be standing with them on this morning, waiting to pay our respects for a funeral to who and what we loved and believed in and hoped for and now seems impossible. We have lots of tomb places in our lives, some of which were named in the reading and the prayer. And as the prayer reminded us, all sorts of things happened. We can sit at tombs to gather ourselves for what's unimaginable and life beyond them. We can mark experiences that completely reorient our whole being so much we're not sure what the next step forward is. We can hide in them because the world seems hard, and it can be, and it is at times. And the truth is that we human beings, we find a way to live through the most devastating life experiences, a lot of us. We are a resilient lot in general. None of us would be here if generation after generation of people hadn't kept going. I know just a couple of the stories from my own ancestors. Perhaps you know some of the ones from your lineage. We go on, we human beings, from the tomb places in our lives, maybe hollow sometimes, but we endure. And that power to want to endure is so strong in us. And Easter is about that in part, but not just about that. Because the story we tell today says, and we tell it annually to immerse ourselves in it, that the tomb, it wasn't about something awful happening and simply moving on, that it was much more extraordinary a message than that, bigger than just that. In the story this morning, that huge boulder, the one that seemed to seal The stories end at death and loss and evil victorious. This Sunday morning, these disciples arrive, and it's been rolled away from the tomb. Not raided by gravediggers, not one more bad ending to the story, but the opposite, the unthinkable, the unimaginable, the story says. And take it for literal truth or metaphor or both. They step in, and the miraculous has happened. This metaphysical force they come to see that is at the heart of the universe, that is speaking to them of a different, incontrovertible truth that they need to own, that rescues them in this worst moment of their lives. And some of them that day, they meet the man Jesus, risen, though they don't recognize him. They see him and they exchange words, but mostly what we're told is that after this day, they lean into the knowledge that he was with them in some form, that the goodness and the beauty and the truth of him lived on in some form with them. And they had work to do. They had incredibly hard work to figure out how to live in his absence, how to lead without him. But that day told them what would persist and claim the day. Always, it said. And it wasn't evil, but it was hope, and it was the good against, it seemed. It isn't just Christianity, which is this message. Most religions, some story or stories of they tell and retell, like killing Ravana and saving Sita, good over evil. And Moses, and the Israelites being able to escape and defeat enemies. Again, human family, a message. Humans, stories to remind us how and enduring hope will be. Tell these stories again and again, and we make them part of our sacred scripture because we will need, and because during our lives, I is how we live. We see, if we live into these stories, we see that in the hardest times, we must believe in, but also choose direction. As the men and the people did, the ones who every most precious to them, choosing cheap living love, some abstract notion, but fleshy and concrete, not as an idea, but with muscle and generous funding. Remember in the election, this, when we choose an anchor in resurrection and its obligations, we become the people who lift cars off of trapped bodies because we cannot see trust and surprise our own strength. Or like an aunt of mine, by marriage, a doctor, married to a doctor who lost her only child to cancer. And at a time when pain management was not a specialty anyone in her city knew well. And from her in grief, gave others the some of it. And open Care Sunday named it People Wild that would matter, commitment to. We participate in practices of restorative justice out of it. We pay a land tax to local Native communities for the rematriation of land, and we argue for the honoring of at least one past treaty to begin with out of it. We call a friend who we have left a rift lie too long with and try and fix it. We take care of something we promised to do and redeem a failure. We plant a garden, we clean off some graffiti, we bring a meal. We give up social hour so our neighbors can dine with beauty and grace and warmth and welcome. Last week, maybe a week and a half ago, there was a luncheon for, I think, 20 people to celebrate one of our members' final radiation treatments. Each of the folks at the lunch, and those two who couldn't be there, had driven this member to or from his radiation treatments so he didn't have to go to them alone. In ways huge and intimate, public and quiet, we choose resurrection. We make ourselves Easter people, and this an Easter world. We don't just dream of it. Because Easter isn't a truth for one moment in history at one tomb in one story 2,000 years ago. It's meant to echo. That's why we retell it until every winter place of the human heart blooms and every tomb is a reminder not just of what was lost, but what is beyond loss forever. With all the versions of the story we tell across peoples and around the world, we are the ones who anchor here. We are the ones who are called to life with sleeves rolled up and hearts wagered. That is Easter. The poet Adrienne Rich once wrote, "My heart is moved by all I cannot save. So much has been destroyed. I have to cast my lot with those who, age after age, perversely, with no extraordinary power, reconstitute the world." In a world that looks bent on being a Good Friday horror show, may we be charged to look around for signs of the other truth, for places where the rock has been rolled away, that is to say, for places where love is incarnate and moving like a verb between people who do not hoard anything that is better shared, which is pretty much everything. Where hope is muscular and unapologetic and has strategies and asks for discipleship. May we magnify those stories, so others see the Easter truth in the world and risk for it also. And sing Easter songs with ebullient descants of alleluias, thank you, choir. And join the movement of people in all the places we find ourselves through all times who have, despite what the world dealt them, lived resurrection. As Lucy Larcombe, a poet, wrote in her A Woman's Easter poem, "Make us loving and steadfast and loyal to bear up humanity's hope." So may it be for us. May we be such a people Be a blessing and be blessed. Happy Easter, everyone. We're going to sing together our closing hymn. It's just one page after the opening hymn, hymn number 270, O Day of Light and Gladness. Please rise. Invite you to remain standing and put down your hymnals, or if you're seated, remain seated, and let's join hands. So the web of those who are Easter people can feel each other's pulse and know its truth. And now, in our comings and our goings, may the light of love shine upon us. Out from within us, be gracious unto us, and grant us peace. For this is the day we are given. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Amen.